The Force is back. The rebels won't tire till they see the last of the Empire. And Kenner's there with Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
I'm off to rescue R2-D2.
Y-Wing Fighter, you have to put it together.
Yeah.
Batteries not included. Action figures each sold separately.
Activate laser cannon. Ready, aim, on target. Luke Skywalker to base, we're coming in.
Y-Wing Fighter, action figures sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
So that was a commercial for the Y-Wing Fighter, which is pretty cool. I definitely recognize that ship, which is very nice to see. You know, it has a drop-down feature. It does have landing gear, which is a nice addition. Obviously, you know, you can actually display it, and it's not going to be something where it's going to be flat and kind of on the ground. It's actually going to be able to stand up and look nicer, and you can actually like set it up and make it look good. Like it's pretty good. I mean, obviously I don't think there's really a canopy that allows you to like insert figures, but maybe there is. It just kind of doesn't look like it seems so narrow, and like the figures are all made specifically a certain way that I think that a lot like the best. Probably one of the best vehicles to put like any figure in is obviously the Millennium Falcon, but like there are plenty of sets that like. I mean, they're all kind of trying to make them so that figures can always fit in there. But I just don't, I don't know. Looking at it, I mean, I'm sure it's probably possible, and I'm sure that definitely is a thing. It's just that it looks kind of thin near the canopy area, so I don't know. But interesting though. Good commercial, a good vehicle. You know, you have to advertise some vehicle, so that's obviously that vehicle. Maybe there's more. Probably there is. I'm guaranteeing it. And I mean, all these movies, they always advertise at least one or two vehicles of some sort. So yeah, the Y-Wing Fighter, awesome. Let's keep going, guys.
The Force is back. The rebels won't tire till they see the last of the Empire. And Kenner's there with Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
Now for a quick escape on his speeder bike.
Speeder bike, you have to put it together. Action figures each sold separately.
Meow! I've got you now. Open speed flaps and meow! I'm gonna crash! Biker Scout, you're not all you're cracked up to be.
Speeder bike, action figures sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
So that is the speeder bike, which is awesome. Obviously something that from this movie especially you would expect them to definitely emphasize upon. And yes, as again I just said, I was expecting there to be at least multiple, like at least 2 or 3 vehicles, and this is our second vehicle, the speeder bike. And it's a cool looking vehicle. One thing I forgot to mention, which I think the Y-Wing also has this as a thing, I'm not sure about that, is the whole entire aspect of you have to put it together, the speeder bike. And that's probably because the pieces are very, very small, and it's something that like if you put it in a box, it could easily get damaged very easily. So it's probably smart that they decided to do it. I mean, I'm sure it's just a couple pieces because they're not going to make you do like intense like putting things together, because like they don't, like, just in general, you want it to be good, and if you make it too complex for the user, then people aren't going to use it. Like, yeah. So, that is something to note. But yeah, and also back then, that's a lot more common for, like, if they're going to do that, they're not going to make it very hard. Like, today there are certain sets that like, they intentionally make it so that you have to put things together, but, though that's true, it's not, like, ridiculous to the point that that it's more likely that you'll break them. So yeah, so anyway, cool looking speeder bike, and nice looking commercial. We got to see obviously another clip from the movie. I mean, one thing that's very interesting is that they emphasize all these key moments or areas in the movie that are pretty important. It gives you a sense like, oh, they want to make people aware, even for like a second or 2 seconds, about some key moment in the movie, and make you say, oh, I want to see this because this movie looks pretty good. Like, yeah, and that's definitely the case here. So yeah, interesting.
The Force is back. The rebels won't tire till they see the last of the Empire. And Kenner's there with Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
You're in my sights, Luke Skywalker. Not for long, Darth Vader.
It's X-Wing Fighter and Imperial TIE Fighter. Action figures each sold separately. Batteries not included.
Time for the old surprise swoop. Our wings hit. Not bad for a beginner, but I'll be back.
X-Wing Fighter, Imperial TIE Fighter, and action figures each sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
Okay, so that was the X-Wing Fighter and the Imperial TIE Fighter commercial, which is interesting. Obviously, again, it shows a moment from the movie, which is important. One thing, though, that I will note is that the X-Wing Fighter, obviously, both of these have already made their appearances in the past in these toy reviews, in these toy discussion, commercials or whatever. And the X-Wing first show, I believe they saw it for both. I don't remember now. Whatever. The point being is that it's advertised here. This X-Wing, I think, is probably better than the one that was in the last one that they talked about with the X-Wings. But the TIE Fighter is interesting because the TIE Fighter looks like it has a different color paint here, because the original one had like a darker color. This has more of a blue and almost like a dark blue, and it's interesting because it's definitely different, and it looks like there's certain elements of it that are a little bit different, but the overall the whole entire wings falling apart and like the whole entire the solar panel wings, they separate, which is something that seems to be a commonality with these things. I feel like there's really not that many cases where they do that, though, in the movie, so it's always just interesting to see that was their whole entire idea, that you can separate them. But I mean, it makes sense, and that is something that they've just come to, that's just common with all TIE Fighter figures typically, is that you're gonna see that. I mean, that's normal. Obviously, if you're getting a statue-esque figure, or a figure that really isn't meant for play purposes, then most likely you're not gonna have that functionality. But you get the point. I mean, that's basically what I'm just getting across, is that whole entire aspect of, it is what it is, and that's what you typically see. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going.